Jeg har ikke haft en god dag i dag. Det har jeg sgu ikke. Åh, shit.
Altså, må du komme til at rive mig? Hvad spiller du den?
Nå, nice. Nice, man. Nice. Okay, det er faktisk ikke dårligt. On the first day.
Altså, må du komme til at rive mig? Jeg har ikke haft en god dag i dag.
Jeg ved ikke hvorfor. Jeg er bare dårlig humør i dag. Jeg har bare sovet mest af dagen, så jeg er en skid. Ikke lavet noget som helst produktivt i dag. Jamen, det er Shinigami-svær.
Som det løb, for at smide som det varmt. Han er varm, han er varm. Jeg er pjusket, jeg er ham. Iskold. Hvis den her verden var min, jeg tager det.
Man er ikke sober, bro. Man er ikke sober.
Hvis den her verden var min, jeg tager det dreams. Og dine problemer til at forsvinde. Gør dig min kvinde. Hvis den her verden var min. Hvis folk har et problem, så er jeg på min Johnny Gade-ting. På min Johnny Gade-ting. Jeg henter min her. Jeg er på mit Shinigami-svær. Shinigami-svær. Hey. Kan vi sidde snehvid? Jeg er ismuk. Jeg er varm. Han er pjusket. Det er ham. Han er iskold. For vi er et hold. Hvis den verden var min, vil jeg dine dreams. Og få mine problemer til at forsvinde. Hvis den verden var min, vil jeg dine dreams. Og få mine problemer til at forsvinde. Og hvis den her verden var min, vil jeg dine dreams. Og få dine problemer til at forsvinde. Hvis den her verden var min, vil jeg tage dine dreams. Og få dine problemer til at forsvinde. Vi går fra side til side. Snehvid. Vi skyder alle haters. See you later. Vi skal danse og lave dans. Ismuk, han er varm. Jeg er pjusket, jeg er ham. Jeg er iskold. Vi er et hold, vi er et hold. Jeg er iskold. Og hvis den her verden var min, vil jeg tage dine dreams og få dine problemer til at forsvinde. Hvis den her verden var min, vil jeg tage dine dreams og få dine problemer til at forsvinde. Roman nummer 7, smid det som det varm, smid det som det varm. Jeg er pjusket, jeg er ham. De går fra side til side. Snehvid. Vi går fra side til side. Snehvid. Roman nummer 7. Ikke liv, smid det som det varm. Jeg er pjusket, jeg er ham. Ismuk, han er varm. Jeg er pjusket, jeg er kold. Vi er et hold.
Jeg skal have lagt en playlist senere. Det bliver en lang stream, så det bliver ikke en lang stream. Jeg var lige på med op igen.
Joe Goldberg, a hopeless romantic and disturbed serial killer with really good hair, go from this to this. That's right, we're covering the entire story
That's
about
it,
you.
yeah.
So grab your popcorn and get ready to see a lot of murder and a lot of hot.
Sabotaging Beck because she'd rather pick apart her friends than admit that she's not being her best self right now. Beck admits it's exhausting to be Peach's friend, and Peach contends that she was just trying to do Beck a favor, but Beck gives up and walks away as Peach calls for her to come back. She heads to Joe's to apologize because it turns out he was right about Peach and the agent, and she wonders how Joe can see these things so clearly in her life when she can't see them herself. They make up and make out until Peach starts calling. Beck answers her phone to tell her to stop, but hears that she's slurring her words and she admits that she took some pills. Peach goes quiet, so Beck and Joe rush to her house, finding her passed out in bed, and Beck gets her to the bathroom to throw up. Joe says that they should take her to the hospital, but Peach refuses because she doesn't want to be committed for a whole 72-hour hold and just asks Beck to stay with her. Knowing that this isn't the first time Peach has tried to kill herself and explaining to Joe that when Peach needs her, she really needs her, Beck sends Joe home and stays with Peach over the weekend. But the next morning after Beck returns home, she gets a call that Peach was attacked in Central Park, so she packs up her laptop to head to the hospital to be with her. After being discharged, Peach is too afraid to stay in her own home, so she comes back to Beck's apartment for a few days to rest and recover. One day, while Lynn and Annika are visiting, Joe stops by and Peach calls him out as the one that warned her she had a stalker. Annika mentions that they're trying to figure out who it is, suspecting it could be somebody Peach knows. Unnerved by the reminder, Peach asks Beck for some tea, so she heads to the kitchen and Joe follows her, asking how long Peach is going to be staying. Guys, she was attacked. Can you have like a little sympathy? He suggests that she might be too much responsibility for Beck, and Peach interrupts to ask Beck to ask Joe to leave because his male energy is interfering with her healing space.
Yeah, okay.
He probably heard her considering he's standing right here, so he leaves, taking his Jeremy balloon with him. The next day, Beck stops into the bookstore to let Joe know that she's heading out to Peach's family's place in Greenwich for a few days, and he asks her about school, but she reminds him that Peach almost died. So he accuses Beck of risking her future for the same person that tried to sabotage her career, and he calls it crazy, saying that he has to be honest and accuses Peach of manipulating Beck. He asks if she really can't see that Peach is holding her back from becoming her own person because she wouldn't be able to control her anymore, and he claims again that Peach's suicide attempt was fake. And Beck asks if she faked the attack in the park too, as she's getting really tired of all his victim blaming. He tells Beck that Peach is in love with her, and that's her cue to leave, as she sarcastically thanks him for his honesty. And Peach insists on Beck trying on the new dress that she bought, but Beck just wants to take a bath to relax. After her bath, Beck rejoins Peach downstairs, surprised to see that she's invited their old friend Raj, especially considering that Peach wasn't comfortable around male energy. But Peach says she's feeling much better now, and Beck notes that she's the only one feeling that way. So Peach acknowledges that Beck is still mad at her, but Beck doesn't believe that Peach actually understands. Peach apologizes to Beck for insulting her poetry, but preaches that she needs to live a life worth writing about, and offers for them to both move to her family's flat in Paris. Beck pulls back, proclaiming the idea to be crazy, but Peach insists that she just take a beat and trip on it, saying that the move could be a new beginning for the both of them. So they head back into the room and toast to old friends and new experiences as they take the Molly that Raj brought. As they catch up, Beck admits that she doesn't know what she wants to do with her life. Peach says that she's having writer's block, and Beck says that she wants to write a book about an injured soul, somebody who doesn't feel like they have a place in the world. Peach starts playing with Beck's hair, calling for Raj to come feel how soft it is, leading Beck to call for a platonic massage train in the bedroom. But when Peach gets carried away rubbing Beck's back and starts kissing her, Beck indulges for a moment before pulling away and rolling out of the bed to run downstairs and text Joe. She tells him that she's done being mad, and he jokes about coming in from the ledge before apologizing again. She says that she doesn't want to go to Paris, which he has no context for, so he's just like, noted, no Paris. The next morning, Beck gets ready to head back to the city. Peach assumes that she just has things to take care of before they move to Paris, but Beck explains that she belongs in New York and she's not ready to give up on her dreams yet. Peach doesn't see it as giving up, but taking a leap of faith. But Beck points out that Peach is asking her to quit her MFA program, leave her home and her friends and her boyfriend. And Peach interjects that she's known Joe for like a minute and demands that Beck have the self-respect to dump the creepy retail loser, which is really harsh. Peach, literally, what has Joe ever done to you? Peach claims that she's just being real, so Beck challenges her, asking about the kiss last night, but Peach brushes it off because they were all high, and she says that Beck is making drama out of nothing, and actually insists that Beck was the one leaning into her and being initiated.
Hvem er
Beck
Thomas
reaffirms
Cax?
to Peach that she is her friend, so she understands that her family might not accept certain things, but Peach lashes
Hvem er
out
Tom
and tells
Cax?
Beck not to make her desperate need for attention about Peach, calling the entire conversation insane. Beck asks if they can just rewind for a second, reminding Peach that she came along to take care of her, so she's not coming from a place of attacking her. But she admits that even Joe saw how Peach is manipulating her, and Peach remarks, of course,
Hvem er Tom
as
Cax?
if he's orchestrating some big thing to turn Beck against her. Peach declares that Joe is nothing, Joe is trash, and says that she would die for Beck, doubting Joe could say the same. But Beck finally tells her that she needs a break, so Peach says fine, leave, and slum it with the bookstore clerk. Until Beck announces that her Uber's here, and Peach is like, oh, so you're just gonna leave and slum it with the bookstore clerk? What about my stalker? Beck says that she'll send Peach the number of a private security company, and she turns her back on her to walk to the car. Peach yells after her that Beck just uses people, but she doesn't break her stride and returns home to the city. Later that night, Beck gets the call that Peach killed herself, meaning her last conversation with her best
Who
friend
is
was an
who is
argument
who
that
is
ended
Tom?
with Beck leaving Peach feeling abandoned. Over the next week, Beck attends Peach's funeral and leans on Joe for emotional support. As he's leaving her apartment, he says that he's left her fridge stocked and grabbed a couple Xanax off of Annika and offers for her to text him if she needs anything, but Beck asks if he can stay, and he confirms that he can stay as long as she wants. During the first month of dating after the funeral, sparks are flying between Beck and Joe as she throws herself into their relationship to avoid her guilt and grief over Peach. They chat over pancakes in bed, and Beck recounts her first kiss, admitting that it didn't happen with the boy she actually liked, but 2 weeks later with his friend who just went for it, leaving Beck to confess that she wishes she could do it over as she's always had a hard time sorting out the good guys from the bad boys. They play Scrabble with made-up words, concocting their word everything ship. Joe calls it a meeting of the minds, bodies, and souls. One night, Joe surprises Beck with a low-budget starry night in her living room to redo her first kiss, giving her the chance to finally kiss the right guy. As she's struggling to sleep at night having nightmares about Peach, Beck gets fired from the yoga studio after falling asleep while leading a class. Realizing that she needs to deal with her grief, she starts up therapy again, seeing pothead therapist Dr. Nikki. When she comes clean to Joe about losing her job, he offers her a position at Mooney's. Beck accepts, and they commemorate her first shift at the bookstore, asking Ethan to take a picture of them. He mentions an author that reminds Beck of Peach, and she pauses after bringing her up, realizing that it's the first time she talked to Joe about Peach since the funeral, and decides that she'd rather save it for therapy. Working at the bookstore, Beck is pretty careless as she falls into a depression, leaving books in the general vicinity of where they should go, failing to organize by genre, and showing up late for her shifts. Joe approaches her about being late, and she opens up to him about the dreams she's been having of Peach that keep her up at night. She confesses that it leaves her too tired to write, and she's falling behind in school, and now she feels like she's failing him too, so it's like the only good thing in her life right now is therapy, where she can just go and let it all out and not have to worry about who she's letting down for an hour. Of course, Joe doesn't get it, asking if it's the only good thing, and Beck rolls her eyes and walks away, regretting that she even said anything. One night after a late shift, Beck sets out dinner in the cage in the basement of the bookstore. Yeah, remember the book cage? They have dinner, and while Joe does comment that one errant candle could destroy the entire collection of rare books, they don't blow out the candles. Beck mentions Peach again, feeling a little more comfortable to talk about her after she worked through some of her thoughts with Dr. Nikki. She explains about a sleeping bag she carried as a security blanket when she was a kid, even when it got old and gross because she couldn't bring herself to throw it away. But one day she lost it, and while there was a sadness to it, there was also a sense of relief that she didn't have to be the one to get rid of it. Not that Peach is anything like an old sleeping bag, I guess the metaphor sounded better in therapy, but it seems like this might be coming back up because Peach always made a big deal about Beck's birthday, which is in just a few days. Peach always planned everything and made sure that Beck felt special, so Joe volunteers to take over this year, but Beck insists that she doesn't want a big party, she just wants to keep it small and low-key. But small and low-key it is not when Beck arrives to the bookstore the night of her party to find it packed with people. As she walks up to Joe, she overhears him telling Lynn how rude and selfish she is. She asks to speak with him and they head to the office where she yells about how this isn't what she wanted. Even though she appreciates the gesture, she says that she can't be at a party without Peach so soon and just pretend that everything's okay. He brings up the relief that she mentioned the other day as if there wasn't also a sadness component to it. Grief isn't a straight line. Joe says that Beck has been hard to read lately. He asks where she was, saying that he called her and texted her, and he questions why she smells like 3 glasses of rosé. Beck lies to cover the start of her affair with Dr. Nikki, telling Joe that her therapy session ran long and that she went for a walk and stopped in a bar to journal. Joe presses, asking why she didn't. call him and she says that she just forgot and lost track of time. But he gets down on his knees and tells Beck that they can get through anything, pleading with her to see if he's serious, and it seems like he is, throwing the first kiss stuff back in her face, saying that she said herself she had a hard time with good guys. Beck laughs again and grabs her phone, offering it to Joe, but warning him that if he looks through it, it means they have no trust between them, and if they have no trust, then they have nothing. She asks if he trusts her, but he doesn't say anything, so she grabs her bag and leaves. The next morning, she shows up to Joe's apartment with an apology donut, and their fight is forgotten. But going forward, things are off in their relationship as her affair continues with Dr. Nikki. While they were in the hot and heavy honeymoon phase before the party, things freeze over after, and Beck rejects Joe's advances, feeling irritable when she gets text messages that she can't answer while she's hanging out at his apartment. One day, Beck leaves Joe's to meet up with Dr. Nikki, telling him that she'll see him after class, but as she's walking, he texts her asking what she's doing. Considering she just told him that she was leaving for class, she doesn't text back, but instead walks to the park where she circles around and runs into Joe, who appears to be following her. She confronts him, and he tries to say that he was just in the neighborhood, but she knows that he's lying. He admits that he's suspicious over her lateness and being secretive over her texts, saying that she's been acting different lately. Joe asks if she's sleeping with her therapist, and Beck lies, saying that she's not. He demands to know who it is that keeps texting her, and Beck says that it's her friend Emma Fox from Brown. Realizing that Joe went through her texts, Beck seizes the out and breaks up with Joe, saying that they have no trust. In therapy, talking about the incident, she recounts to Dr. Nikki how upsetting it is that he followed her and admits that the more he wants her, the less she wants him. Beck understands that Joe feels like she was hiding something because she is trying to hide that she's an ugly mess under a socially presentable and acceptable version of being a mess. And after all this time, she still hasn't dealt with what happened with Peach or Benji or her dad, and instead of using any of it to inspire her writing, she's just been hibernating with Joe, which is making her start to resent him because she needs space to heal and work through her shit, but she can't do that when he's always right there trying to make things okay for her, when she's the only one that can do that for herself. So Beck concludes that if Joe really loves her, he would give her the space to heal on her own. Of course, she said all of this in therapy, though Joe has no reason to know any of it, but again, it's like he can read her mind because he shows up to her apartment the next day and apologizes, saying that his jealousy got the better of him and maybe he's being stupid to let her go, but he thinks that it might be what she needs, so he will. Over the next 3 months, Beck focuses on herself and her writing, and it really pays off when an essay that she writes about Peach goes viral, landing her a book deal through the agent that her professor connected her with. But when Beck tells Blythe that her agent isn't happy with her latest pages, they head back to her apartment and Blythe demands that Beck surrenders her phone. She deactivates Beck's social profiles, deletes her apps, and unplugs her router before considering procuring a typewriter from Joe, which obviously prompts Beck to ask about him, but Blythe doesn't bite and leaves Beck to her low-tech writing. She tries to get through her writer's block, but she just can't focus, so she ends up plugging her router back in and jumping on Facebook to look up Joe's new girlfriend Karen Minty, immediately feeling like she isn't Joe's type. To get some fresh air and maybe run into Joe, Beck takes a walk to his neighborhood to grab dinner and gets her chance to meet Joe's girlfriend when they're out for a walk as well. Their meeting is short and sweet, with Joe congratulating Beck on her book deal and then heading off with Karen to get something to eat. Beck texts him, repeating her pattern of falling back in with guys who aren't good for her just when things are going well as a form of self-sabotage. Beck lies to her therapist and herself that that's not what she's doing with Joe, and when he texts her to congratulate her again on her book deal, she asks if he wants to see her author photos. He asks what she's reading, and she sends a picture of her book conveniently placed on her lap post-shower. Back in therapy, Dr. Nikki accuses Beck of flirting and tells her that the only people who really know a relationship are the people that are in it. He goes on to explain that their relationship is like a house, and Beck is just a little mouse that wants to weasel her way into a house that isn't hers, leading Beck to the conclusion that she should back off. But she asks what if the man in the house wants a little mouse, and Dr. Nikki points out that people catch mice in traps, and feeling trapped was the reason she ended it in the first place. She rolls her eyes and leans back on the couch, defeated by the knowledge that she should stop texting Joe and move on. But luckily, Blythe and Ethan already invited the both of them to a moving party, so she has an excuse to see him again. As they finish emptying the truck, Beck brings Joe a beer to inform him that they've been invited to a housewarming party on Thursday. He admits that he had doubts about Ethan and Blythe, but they're adorable together, and Beck agrees that they're obnoxiously cute, and they cheers to the Joe and Beck moving company. The next day, Beck texts Joe asking if they can meet for an hour so she can get his opinion on her latest pages, and he replies saying it's a date. Beck shows up early to meet on the ferry, rehearsing what she might say as she overlooks the water waiting for Joe to arrive. She gives him some pages to read, and she's relieved when he approves, saying that she rewrote the ending so many times that she was starting to spin out. She considers writing another short story from a male perspective if Joe is available for consultation, and he agrees, prompting her to guess what he's thinking. Beck seizes the chance to offer up a trusty "you're thinking what I'm thinking," and Joe leans in as they kiss and hook up on the upper deck of the ferry. Joe immediately decries the act as a mistake, and Beck agrees, saying never again, but not